Hare Krishna, Sarvadrk Prabhu. Sorry for the delay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you very much for your valuable time. We're very fortunate to have Jay Sarvadrk Prabhu, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, staying in Mayapur now. I think in traveling in different places, and preaching widely. Let's hear from him today on glories of Panihati festival. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I can begin.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, clear.
Pardon?
Yes, it is clear. We can hear.
Okay, shall I start?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, first let me offer my obeisance to the Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Six Goswamis, all of you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Sundavadi Paschatya Deshatani He Guru Jnanada Dinabandho Sanandada Tatpuranayaka Sindha Vrindavanasi Nihitavatara Prasidavadha Panyaprachara Nama Shishtamanomapi Sachiputra Madhya Sarupam Rupam Tashyagajamurupadim Matarim Vaishnavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhikamadavasam Praptayasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurun Tam Natasmi Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujagoshi Jira Gopalika Ajanulam Gita Vajo Pranata Bhavate Sankirtanaita Pitaro Kamalaya Taksha Vishwambaro Vijabaro Vigadharma Kavo Vande Jagat Priya Guru Karuna Bhataro Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Bhagavadya Subhadabhyam Jaganataya Telamanda Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Kandayitu Siddhaya Priya Deshavasya Krishna Bhakti Paridevi Satyavati Taptakanshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Siti Devi Pranamani Bhavityo Pancha Kopratibhishta Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. All glories to Samagurus. So I was requested by Prabhuji to speak today on Panihati festival. But to really get a grip and grasp the significance of Panihati festival, we should understand Raghunath Das Goswami, who is the central figure of this whole Leela, this whole beautiful Leela with Gaurnitai, the devotees, and Raghunath Das. So we pray, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghu Yugo, Shri Jiva Gopalako. So Raghu Yugo means two Raghus, Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhakti Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami in Krishna Leela, there's some controversy in Gaura Ganadesha Deepika, who's described as Rati Manjari. Some people say Bhanumati Manjari, some people say Rasa Manjari. But whatever the name, certainly we can understand he is very, very dear associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Goloka. And he comes to this world of Raghunath Das, a greatly renounced saintly person, sadhu, eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a beautiful Leela about how he came to be engaged in this Panihati festival. Raghunath Das was born in a very, very wealthy family. His father's income was hundreds of thousands of gold coins every month. Many people struggle for a little piece of gold. His father had thousands of gold coins income every month. So Raghunath Das was born in a very, very wealthy family. His father got him married to a young lady whose beauty equaled that of Goddess of Fortune herself. So he had money, he had wealth, He had beautiful wife, family life, but it meant nothing to him after he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all these different events of his life are very significant in our life also, because we pray Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Sikshartaneka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Bhujayastamaham Bhagavad. Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made this prayer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said that Lord Chaitanya is the oldest person, the original personality of Godhead. He's God himself. And he came to teach Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, in his own path of bhakti. So bhakti is dependent, not dependent, but bhakti is enhanced by these two principles of Vairagya and Vidya, renunciation and knowledge. If someone is actually in knowledge, and I don't mean the knowledge of encyclopedias and Greek geography and biology and mechanics and mathematics, physics, not this knowledge, but knowledge of the self, Atma Tattva. This is the byproduct of the process of bhakti, Vairagya and Vidya, transcendental knowledge and detachment. We read in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Priyojita, Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Haitukam. The effect of engaging in devotional service, the effect of bhakti is that one automatically develops knowledge. We sing in the morning, everyone, Dibya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, the divine knowledge manifests in our heart by the grace of Sri Guru and by the Supreme Lord's mercy. Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yatate Devi Tatagur Tasyaiti Katita Yata Prakashante Mahatmana. This transcendental experience manifests in our heart by accepting the process of devotional service. So Raghunath Das, he manifests this feeling, and he would he'd run away from his family over and over again. He'd run away from his family. So he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who advised him that you stay in your family life as a so-called family man, but in your heart, remain fixed in the process of bhakti. Appear to society like an ordinary pounds, shillings, and pence man. But in your heart, keep this bhakti flame burning brightly. So this is very good advice for all of us also. Being in this world, we're obliged in many ways, especially in household life. We're obliged socially, we're obliged to family members, we're obliged to bosses, to other family members, weddings, and raising children, and many things where social interaction. We're obliged in many ways, but we should maintain the same mentality that Raghunath Das said. Inside, he's only with Krishna. Outside, externally, he appears to be a regular pound, shilling, and pence man. But he kept this flame, this brightly burning flame of Krishna bhakti in his heart. And at every opportunity, it burns so brightly. This desire to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu burns so brightly that he left everything. And his father would send guards and they bring him back. He'd leave and they'd send guards and they bring him back, leave and bring him back. Many times it happened like this. So it became almost like a daily affair. And his father would bring him back. And then one day he met Lord Nityananda at Panihati. Lord Nityananda was sitting on a raised platform, as brilliant as the sun. And as Raghunath Das approached him, he was overwhelmed in spiritual ecstasy and fell flat on the ground at some distance from Lord Nityananda. When he got up, Lord Nityananda told him, "Where have you been? You're avoiding me. You're like a thief. You're trying to avoid me." Actually, the actual verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Nityananda said to him, "You're a thief. Now you have come to see me. Come here. Come here. Today I shall punish you. You were just like a thief, for instead of coming near, you stay away at a distant place. Now that I have captured you, I shall punish you. Make a festival and feed all of my associates yogurt and chipped rice." Hearing this, Raghunath Das is very pleased. So this is called Danda, this festival of Panihati where Raghunath Das organized a huge festival to feed hundreds and thousands of devotees called Danda Mahotsav, the festival of punishment. The so-called punishment. What is this punishment? To feed all the devotees chipped rice, this poha, soaked, one pot is soaked in dahi and yogurt, another pot is soaked in condensed milk. So Raghunath Das organized all these local shopkeepers who brought all their stock of chipped rice and dahi and condensed milk and banana and camphor and sugar. And they made delicious preparations, huge pots full of preparations, 400 pots of all these delicious, tasty preparations. And they offered it all to Lord Chaitanya. And by Lord Nityananda's meditation, he brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to this Danda Mahotsav. And Lord Chaitanya is pushing food into the mouth of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is pushing food into the mouth of Lord Chaitanya. And they're dancing and laughing, and all the devotees are in ecstasy, eating this delicious prasadam, arranged by Raghunath Das. And the whole festival atmosphere, because we should understand the spiritual significance. We can say, from one point of view, oh, it's just they're having a picnic on the beach. Well, that's true. But who are these people having this delicious food festival? These are all eternal associates of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, in Goloka. So this is something like, it's actually not something, it is exactly like Lord Krishna sitting on the bank of Jamuna, surrounded by the cowherd boys, having huge festival. When Krishna and the cowherd boys leave to go cow herding, their mothers send with them all delicious foods: halava, puri, samosa, kachori, sabji, rice, dal, rasgulla, gulab jamun, cham cham, burfi, all sandesh, all delicious types of food packed for their satisfaction. And they sit down on the bank of Jamuna, on the sandy bank of Jamuna, and have big feast. Krishna would sit in the middle of them and surrounded by all cowherd boys. Now, in this world, if someone is sitting in the middle, some people will see the person sitting in the middle from the backside, and some will see from the front side. But when Krishna sits with all the gopas, the gopals, on the bank of Jamuna, eating delicious food, everyone sees Krishna face to face. There's no backside, there's no front side. Everyone sees Krishna, everyone sees front side only. And Krishna is eating food off the plate of his devotee. And the devotees are eating food off Krishna's plate. When Lord Brahma sees this scene of Krishna taking food from his devotee's plate, this is by material calculation, juta, is uchishta, is contaminated food, someone else's food off their plate. Krishna's eating off his devotee's plate. And the devotees are snatching food from Krishna's mouth. He's ready to eat sweet. And devotees grab it and say, no, no, I want to eat that. And they're eating off Krishna's plate. And Krishna's eating. This is the scene when cowherd boys and Krishna sit on the bank of Jamuna, eating all the delicious food prepared by their mothers. That same scene was manifest here in this world at Panihati. Now, Panihati is only about a 3-hour drive from Mayapur, on the western bank of Ganga. We're here in Prachin Mayapur, Prachin Navadvip, Mayapur, known as Mayapur today, on the eastern bank of Ganga. So if you cross over and you drive about 3 hours south from Navadvip, you come to this transcendental spot where this Leela took place, that very same spot where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu and all their associates share this wonderful feast of chipped rice and yogurt and chipped rice and condensed milk. So this is the same Leela that is going on in the spiritual world manifest here. So when we remember the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when we read about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, don't think they're part of this world. They're not part of this world. They're part of the spiritual world manifest in our vision. And this is the beauty of Gaura Leela. that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and dances in the midst of us. He comes and eats in the midst of us. Just a few hundred years ago at this place, Mayapur, Navadip, Pulia, Hanihati, all these beautiful places where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his pastimes with his eternal associates. So he came to show the beauty of bhakti. And Raghunath Das bore the expense and arranged for this whole beautiful festival. So this Leela is meant to attract us back to the spiritual world. Because what is our objective in Krishna Bhakti? Why are we practicing sadhana bhakti? What is our objective? What is our prayojana? What do we expect to gain? We should keep this in the forefront of our mind when we hear about these beautiful Leelas. That the potentiality is there that I may also one day participate in these Leelas. This is the potential of Krishna Bhakti. This is our prayojana, our objective in life, our goal in life. Prabhupada would say our goal in life is to leave this world and go back to the kingdom of God. Natad bhasyate shroyo na shishankuna pavaka yad gatva nirivartante tadama paramamama. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that there I have this abode, that's not part of this material creation. And by the practice of bhakti, you can go there and never come back again to this material world. So the impetus we get for going there, for taking part enthusiastically in bhakti, is to hear these leelas, how intimate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with his devotees, how intimate he was with Lord Nityananda. So Raghunath Das, this is also a very important point. He was trying to leave home over and over again. He was trying to leave home. But what was the deciding factor that finally allowed him to leave home once and for all and travel to Puri and finally have the cherished darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What was that? That he served the Vaishnavas. He arranged this festival on the order of Lord Nityananda, this Danda Mahotsav. He served the Vaishnavas food, and with his own hand, he was distributing kheer and dahi and chipped rice and banana to all the devotees. And by getting mercy of Vaishnavas, he was able to achieve his cherished goal of meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and finally leave his attachment to the material world. So this is a very important point. Most people think when they go to the mandir, the masjid, the gurudwara, the church, the synagogue, they go and they pray to God directly. They want to get mercy of God. But this is not the way we get mercy. Krishna has imbued his Kripa Shakti in his devotees. We get mercy from Krishna through his devotees. In fact, the Lord says in Srimad Bhagavatam that if one offers me delicious foodstuffs cooked in ghee, I'm not as pleased by that offering as I am when those same foodstuffs are offered to the mouths of my devotees. And if someone offers ghee, if someone is performing sacrifice and doesn't worship devotees, if he doesn't respect devotees, his service is said to be like pouring ghee on ashes. To get the result when we do havan, one has to put the ghee in the flame. The flame is the transcendental mouth of Lord Vishnu, and is consuming the offering of food, grains, and ghee. But if one pours ghee onto ashes, there's no benefit. It's a complete waste. So Bhagavatam is saying, if one doesn't respect the devotees, but goes about devotional service, that devotional service, without respecting Vaishnavas, is like offering ghee onto ashes. So service to Vaishnavas is so important. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the devotees, the Grihastha community, after the Rath Yatra festival, they approached Mahaprabhu as they're leaving Puri. Says, now we're going, Mahaprabhu, please give us some instruction. We won't see you for a full year. For the next year, what is your instruction? How we, members of the Grihastha community, can make progress in spiritual life? He told them two things. Number one, serve Vaishnavas, do Vaishnav Seva. The second thing, do Nam Sankirtan. These two things will bring all perfection in a person's life. Nam Sankirtan and Vaishnav Seva. So serving Vaishnavas is so, so important because Vaishnavas are very, very dear to the Lord. The Lord is controlled by Vaishnavas. He's famous as Parthasarathy. He's driving, he becomes the charioteer of Arjuna. The system is that the passenger, the warrior on the chariot, would touch the driver with his feet. On the left side, turn left. On the right side, turn right. He's touching the charioteer with his feet. So Arjuna is touching Krishna with his feet because Krishna has become the charioteer for Arjuna. Such intimate service, loving service. Krishna becomes subordinate to his devotee. The devotee is so important. When Sudama left his home in extreme poverty, encouraged by his wife, that you please approach your friend Krishna, perhaps he can help us. So he traveled all the way to Dwarka, bringing with him a small quantity of broken rice tied in the end of his chadar. He went thinking, I want to see my beloved friend Krishna, because they grew up together in Gurukula. Even one night, they're stuck in a great storm. They had to huddle together in the storm and the wind and the cold, serving their guru. They're such intimate friends, Krishna and Sudama. So Sudama wasn't thinking, I will go and get something from Krishna, but I want to see my friend Krishna. And all I have to offer, some pieces of broken rice. So when he arrived at the gates of Dwarka, Lord Krishna rushed out to meet him, embraced him, and took him into his room and placed him on his own bed and washed his feet. And Rukmini is looking at the scene. Who is this beggar? Unwashed, unshaven, ragged clothing, dirty. And my husband, the Supreme Lord, is bathing his feet and taking the water and putting it on his head and on the head of the whole family. Who is this person? He's Krishna's devotee. Krishna can never forget love of his devotee. He becomes subordinate to his devotee. He becomes the chariot driver. He becomes a servant to the lotus feet of devotee. Krishna is known. We sing this beautiful bhajan, Vibhavari Shesha. There is said, Nanda Godhana Rakawa, that Nanda Maharaj has 9 lakhs of cows. And Krishna takes charge of the service, cow herding, 9 lakhs of Nanda Maharaj's cows. No small thing. 900,000 cows. Krishna is taking care of. How? Why? In service to his father. He becomes servant of his devotee. Many, many examples throughout Shastra. How Krishna becomes subordinate to his devotee. So how do we get mercy? Who do we approach for mercy? Not Krishna. Krishna says, approach my devotee. Tadvidi paripratina pariprashnena sevaya upidikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshi. If you want to be tattvadarshi, approach my representative. This is a system to get Krishna's mercy. This is Krishna's point of view, his words, his philosophy. How to get Krishna? Through Krishna's devotee. It is a very important thing to understand. So, because Raghunath Das served the Vaishnavas, he received the mercy of Lord Nityananda and was able to free himself from his family entanglement and ultimately return to Puri. Now, when he got to Puri, what to do? He doesn't know anybody. He's a rich man's family. He has no asset. So for 5 days, he was taking prasadam in the Puri temple. Then he thought, what is this? Why should I take like a beggar? I'm coming to take food. Then he would stand. This is his progressive renunciation, this story of his progressive renunciation, which is also very significant because mostly devotees can't immediately renounce the world. We take the process of sadhana bhakti, which gradually over time detaches us from the world. It's not that immediately we renounce everything, give up family, give up job, give up income, give up shelter, give up society, and go live in a hut on the bank of Ganga or in the forest of Braj. That's such an easy thing. So we're practicing Krishna Bhakti and gradually giving up our attachment to this material world And Raghunath Das showed this example. So for 5 days, he was eating at the temple. Then he thought, what is this? I'm not doing any seva. Let me just stand by the Singadora gate, and maybe the pujaris, as they're leaving home, will give me a portion of their Jagannath Mahaprasad. So he was doing like that. Then one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, where is Raghunath? I do not see him standing by Singadora gate anymore. The devotees told him, he thought, I'm standing here just like a prostrate, the prostitute, this person is giving me something, this person is not giving me something, what is this? And what did he do? He began to live begging from the chatras where they distribute free food. This also he renounced. And he came to collect the rejected food that was washed from the kitchen. Rotten pieces of rice, washed it so bad that even the cows wouldn't eat it. He'd collect that, wash away the rotten part, dry the inner kernel in the sun, and that was his food. That was his renunciation. No one can imitate the renunciation of Raghunath Das. Impossible. The Lord Chaitanya was so pleased with him. He came to Raghunath Das's hut and he said, Raghunath, I've heard you're eating very nice prasad, nice, delicious Jagannath Mahaprasad, and you're not giving me any. And he forcefully took some of this dried rice that Raghunath had salvaged from the gutter and put in his own mouth. And Raghunath became very distressed. No, Lord, this is not for you. It's not for you. No, but this is Jagannath Mahaprasad. How is it not for me? This is his renunciation. This is Raghunath Das's renunciation. And by that renunciation, by eating rejected food that he had collected and washed, he received mercy from both Swarup Damodar Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is also an important point. How to make progress in Krishna Bhakti. As we're able, we shouldn't be artificially renounced, and we shouldn't be an enjoyer. Bhoga and Tyaga. Bhoga and Tyaga are both two sides of the same coin of false enjoyment or false renunciation. We're not enjoyers of this world, and we're not renunciates of this world. We're servants in this world. There's a nice example. Prabhupada gave this example. He said, if you go into a bank and you stand up in a chair, you clap your hands, attention everyone, please pay attention. I'm renouncing all the money in this bank. He's making an announcement. I renounce all the money in this bank, everything in the safe, everything in the cash drawer, everything in your wallet, keep your watch, keep your wedding ring. I renounce it all. They'll call the police, get out of here, you're crazy man, get out. How can he renounce something that doesn't belong to him? We can't renounce anything because nothing belongs to us. We have false sense of renunciation. Nothing is actually ours. And if a man comes into the bank with a gun and says, give me all the money, then they'll lock him up and put him in jail for a very long time. The money isn't his to steal, to take by force, to claim false proprietorship over for his own personal enjoyment. And it's not his to renounce. We're not renunciation, we're not renunciates, and we're not enjoyers. Bhoga and Tyaga. What are we? Simply servants of the Lord. Simply servants. So we should keep these things in mind as we make progress in Krishna Bhakti, and we should become detached from this world on this principle. Anasaktasya vishayan yatam upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya uchate. We accept anything in Krishna service. And Prabhupada showed the example. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur showed this example. And Prabhupada understood and practiced this principle perfectly in his life. Bhaktisiddhanta says, at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a sannyasi wasn't even supposed to ride a bicycle or a horse. He's simply to walk barefoot anywhere he went. Yet we see a picture of Saraswati Thakur wearing beautifully tailored clothes, patent leather shoes, and sitting in Model T Ford in Mayapur. Unheard of. An automobile in Mayapur at the time of Saraswati Thakur. Why was he doing that? To bring respectability to Gaudiya Vaishnavism, to show the world we're not beggars, we're not renunciates. We're servants of the Lord, and we accept anything that's favorable for the service of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada understood this. Our Prabhupada understood this perfectly. He flew all over the world in jet airplanes. He accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars and constructed beautiful temples. He printed books. He distributed prasadam. He dressed in beautiful clothing, beautiful silken cloth, to show the world what is the real principle of renunciation is to please the Lord by one's activities. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, why should we renounce something that can be used in Krishna's service? So when we hear of the renunciation of Raghunath Das, don't think that you can be like Raghunath Das. Rather, we live our life, Prabhupada would say, have comfortable life, but not luxurious life. For example, I used to work for 20 years in the jewelry industry as a watchmaker and goldsmith. So for $50,000, you can get a diamond bezel, 18 karat gold Rolex wristwatch. What does it do for $50,000? It tells you what time it is. Or you can go to Walmart and buy a $10 watch that does the same thing. Do we need to spend $50,000 to know what time it is? Why do people do that? For pratishtha, for prestige, to show off their wealth, to become a so-called prosperous, so-called advanced person in society. This is all Maya. So we don't mind, wear a wristwatch, drive a car, have a mobile phone, have a computer, but use them for Krishna because they're his. This is the principle of renunciation. Use the computer for Krishna, the mobile phone for Krishna. Spread the glories of Krishna on the internet. Spread the glories of Krishna on YouTube and WhatsApp and Twitter and all these different social media. Spread the glories of the Lord. Don't waste time browsing through unnecessary things. For example, Srila Prabhupada oftentimes criticized reading newspapers. It's a big bunch of newspapers they're distributing. Of course, they don't distribute so much anymore. Why? Because the internet's put many newspaper companies out of business. Because the news is available at the touch of a finger on your mobile phone. So what would he say about internet browsing? Spending hours and hours on internet with your mobile phone. It's the same principle, wasting time with newspaper. So we can use the mobile phone in Krishna service. It's very handy to communicate with devotees. I received the link for this class by mobile phone. I received an invitation by mobile phone. I talk to devotees. I counsel devotees, all with mobile phone. So it's very useful in Krishna service, but that same mobile phone is big Maya also. Maya is always lurking wherever we go, especially on mobile phone. So we use everything in Krishna service, no problem. Comfortable life. This is practical renunciation. But Raghunath Das showed example of extreme renunciation. Don't think it can be like Raghunath Das. It is impossible. So Raghunath Das also, he has his place in Krishna Leela. There's a couple of nice stories in this regard. Once he would, practically speaking, just live by eating chach. Chach means the buttermilk, the whey, with little tiny bits of butter left in it after churning the butter. So he would simply live on this chach and just one small leaf cup. So he had a friend named Das. And Das took a big leaf of a simuli tree, a silkthorn tree, and made a big cup for him and brought him a large, thinking he's hardly eating anything. Let me give him something more to eat. So he brought him this chach in the big leaf cup. And Raghunath Das looked at it and said, oh, very good. But where is this? I've never seen this leaf in this area. Where is this leaf from? Where is this leaf from? And Das said, it is from Sakistali. Sakistali. And he immediately threw it away. Why? Sakistali means Chandravali's place. Chandravali brings gloom and sadness and darkness to Nikunja because Krishna is with Chandravali. He's not come to Radharani. So Radharani was the life and soul of Raghunath Das. And he composed many, many beautiful bhajans and stavas about his inconceivable devotion. His whole life was Srimati Radharani. So when he heard this leaf comes from Sakhi-Stali, he threw the whole thing away as untouchable. So much devotion he had for Srimati Radharani. Another time he was complaining of indigestion. And he was saying that I'm experiencing this indigestion from eating milk and rice. But his friends were saying, but you only eat this chach, that's all you eat. This buttermilk. How is it that you're experiencing indigestion? And he explained, well, actually in Leela, in meditation, in my meditation, I was eating rice prasad and milk prasad. And from that, he was experiencing indigestion. Something like the same story of the South Indian Brahmin, who for years was serving the Lord by meditation, making kheer, and in his meditation, he's gathering the best milk from the black cow with full cream, and he's treating it so not a drop touches the ground, not a hair touches it, full of purity and deliciousness. And he's cooking it with rice, he's placing it in golden bowl, encrusted with jewels and rubies and diamonds, and he's offering to the Lord. In his meditation, he's a poor man, what can he do? But in his meditation, he's serving the Lord in such an opulent way. So one day, after years of serving in this way, he thought, is this kheer? Maybe it's too hot to offer my Lord. So in meditation, he touched it. And in this world, in this plane of reality, his finger was burned. How is it possible? This is possible. So the same thing, Raghunath Das was experiencing indigestion from eating milk and rice, but he ate no milk and rice on this plane of reality. In his Leela, in meditation on Leela, he was eating milk and rice from the hand of Srimati Radharani. And in this plane of existence, experiencing indigestion. So these are the inconceivable, beautiful pastimes of Raghunath Das. And he wrote many, many beautiful books that's beyond the scope of this discussion to talk about. But we have all regard. Prabhupada would talk about, and Chaitanya Charitamrita ends, Rupa Raghunatha Pari Hoi Beya, Narottam Das talking, Rupa Raghunatha Pari Hoi Beya Kuti. That unless we have enthusiasm for worship and following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das, Yugala Puriti, understanding Radha Krishna, is impossible. So we follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. We're Rupa Nuga Vaishnavas. Rupa Goswami means Rupa Manjari. Raghunatha means Rati Manjari. Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari. We're followers of those two individuals who came to this world as great renunciates, as Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. So this is how we make progress in spiritual life. We should also say something about prasadam, because this Leela is really about distribution of prasadam. We shouldn't think that they're just feeding people, that Raghunath Das is just giving food to eat. He's giving prasadam. What is prasadam? Prasadam means that food that has been tasted by the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has enjoyed it. We pray every day before we take prasadam, Mahaprasadi Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnave, Swalpa Punyapatam Rajan, Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. What does it mean? One time I was asking devotees, because for the most part, no one speaks Sanskrit, no one speaks Bengali, and all our prayers and bhajans are either in Sanskrit or Bengali. So there's a challenge to know the meaning of the verses and bhajans that we're singing and reciting. So I asked, okay, what does it mean? Mahaprasadi Govinde? One devotee raises it, oh Prabhu, it means we're going to eat. So there's a meaning to it. 5 things, Mahaprasadi Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnava. That Mahaprasad, Govinda, Nama, Vaishnava, and Brahman. 5 things. If some Swalpa Punyapatam Rajan, O king, if someone has very little, someone has accumulated very little punya, sukriti, he cannot understand the value of Mahaprasad. They say, atheistic people say, oh, you cut a fruit, you cut up a banana, you cut an apple, and now it's prasadam because you cut it. When you cut it and offer it to Krishna, with love, and Krishna accepts it because of your love, then it is prasadam, not otherwise. So the whole challenge in offering and preparing foodstuff is to offer it with love, because Krishna is not hungry. He says, Patam pushpam phalam toyam yomi bhaktya parachati tadaham bhakti paritam ashnami prayatatmana. I eat, but why do I eat? Bhaktya uparitam, when something is offered to me with love. Is Krishna in need of water? Mediterranean Ocean is there, Caspian Sea, Red Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean. Trillions, unlimited liters of water are there. Why is he asking for water? Why is he asking for fruits? Here in Mayapur, the mango trees are overburdened with fruits. It's going to be a huge bumper crop of mangoes this year. In due course of time, the trees become overburdened with fruits and flowers. Why is the Lord asking for fruits and flowers? Is he a poor man? He can't get a fruit or flower by, he created them. Why is he asking for them? What does he want? Does he want the water, the fruit, the flower, the milk, the water? He wants bhakti. Because bhakti is a single thing that he can't demand from us. He can't demand bhakti from us. Bhakti is by nature the independent outpouring, a spontaneous outpouring of love expressed for the Supreme Lord. It can't be regulated. It can't be demanded. Give me bhakti, I demand it. He can't demand it. Just like a mother, if a mother says to her son or daughter, tell me you love me, or you can't have dinner. Then the child, okay, mom, I love you. Can you feed me now? Is that love of mother or love for food? Love for food. You can't demand love. You can't demand bhakti. Bhakti has to be spontaneous offering of the heart, simply to please Krishna. And Krishna is saying here, he's pleased with the most insignificant thing. A leaf, one tulsi leaf. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was brought to this one just down the road here. Advaita Charya, Advaita Bhavan, not Advaita Bhavan of Shantipur, but there's a small temple here, Advaita Bhavan, where Advaita Charya worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worshipped the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, with Tulsi, Manjari, and Ganga Jal. And he prayed, Tulasya Dalimatrena, Jalasya Chulukainava, Vikrinite Tadatmana, Bhakti Bhyo Bhakti Vatsala. Shastra says that Krishna is saying in Shastra that if someone offers me a handful of water in a tulsi leaf, I have no ability, it's not within my power to repay that. Therefore, I give myself. That Krishna gives himself by the offering of the smallest thing, tulsi leaf and Ganga Jal, offered bhaktya paritam, something offered with devotion. Krishna says, I will accept it. So what is prasad? Prasad means that thing that is offered to Krishna with love, that he's accepted and is sanctified, non-different from Krishna himself. So when Raghunath Das is distributing food, he's not just feeding people, he's feeding their soul. He's giving them prasadam, because prasadam is not different from Krishna. We read in Shastra, Mother Parvati asked Lord Shiva, said, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Lord Shiva said, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat paratanam devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Lord Shiva says that Lord Vishnu, Krishna, is the supreme worshipable personality. Yet there's something more worshipable than the Supreme Lord, and that is tadiyanam samarchanam. Complete worship, samarchanam. Higher worship is worship of those things in connection with Krishna. That means Krishna's devotee, Krishna's book, Krishna's temple, Krishna's paraphernalia, Krishna's prasadam. So when we distribute foodstuff, we should remember this is Krishna prasadam, sanctified food. It's param anna, it's Brahma, it's spiritual food. It's not part of this material world. It has spiritual effect when people eat foodstuff offered to Krishna. So as we distribute prasadam, we should appreciate this fact. And as we eat prasadam also, because typically our consciousness is, oh, this is so delicious. Like Sudevi and I just went to one beautiful, wonderful devotee's home today, Vishabhanu Prabhu. And his wife's, what's his wife's name? Gopi Chandrika, something. I didn't catch his wife's name. They're from South Africa. They make this amazing dessert called trifle. It's made with cake and pudding and agar. It's from Vaikuntha, wonderful. It's like, oh, this is so amazing taste. And you're absorbed in the taste, and you forget, oh, this is Krishna Prasad. What was Raghunath Das's mentality? Eating the core pieces of rice that hadn't rotten yet, dried in the sun. And he was relishing it. Why? It's Krishna Prasad, Jagannath Mahaprasad. And I'm eating trifle and I'm thinking, oh, this is so delicious because it stimulates my tongue, my sense of taste. So delicious. So when we're eating, we should remember also, this is prasad. It's offered to Krishna, and not be so intoxicated by the taste. And then we're not inclined to overeat. If we remember, this is Krishna prasadam, and not just meant for the satisfaction of my tongue. Therefore, we sing this prayer, Sharira Avidyaja, Jyotindiya Tahika. Prabhupada said Tahika means this tongue is like black snake, and it wants to drag us down into material life. So we regulate the eating process, the demand of the tongue, by satisfying it with Krishna Prasad. Food offered to Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's explained, Uddhava is saying, they want to accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna, the garlands offered to Krishna, the used jewelry and clothing items offered to Krishna. By accepting that, I conquer over the influence of the modes of material nature. So we should always take prasadam because this is Krishna. Or devotees joke, this is a part of our philosophy, anyone can swallow. And we distribute prasadam everywhere as far as possible because we're giving Krishna. And this combination of Krishna prasadam and Krishna's holy name and the practice of sadhana bhakti will bring us the result of pure devotional service, pure love of God. Guaranteed. Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sutrada Vishvasakori Vishaya Chariya Seva Semajiya Muke Bolo Hari Hari. Lord Chandas Thakur recommends just worship these two brothers, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, with deep faith, with unshakable faith. Don't think that the result won't come. It will, but one has to control one's senses. Vishaya Chariya, give up sense gratification. Seva Semajiya Muke Bolo Hari, and relish the chanting of Krishna's holy name. So this wonderful life given to us by acharyas that was lived by great devotees like Raghunath Das, who was a personal associate of Lord Nityananda, personal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're doing the same thing they're doing, chanting the same holy name, eating same prasadam. Can we not expect a similar result? That love of God one day will well up in our heart by this process of hearing Krishna's name, by chanting, by taking prasadam. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavanai, Shravanani Shuddha Chitte Koreya Udai. Just by hearing Krishna's name, taking prasadam, that love of God wells up in our heart. Yasyamvai Shriyamanayam Krishna Parama Purushe, Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. Bhagavatam says, Shriyamananam, just by hearing holy name, by hearing Shastra. Bhakti utpadyate pumsa, that bhakti rises up in our heart. We experience bhakti. It rises up in our heart and pushes away all inauspicious things. Shoka moha bhayapaha. Apaha means it destroys fear, lamentation, and illusion. Just by hearing and chanting holy name, taking prasadam, worshipping the deity, associating with devotees. Lord Chaitanya has given us such beautiful process as we understand it from Srila Prabhupada. So we should hear these leelas and be instructed by, bring our mind to what's happening, to bring our mind to Raghunath Das's experience of renunciation, his experience of his gradual detachment. He is eternal associate of the Lord in Tattva. He doesn't need to be renounced. He's eternal associate. He's always renounced. But in Leela, he's showing us the example of gradual detachment from this world and disgust for anything non-Krishna, and addiction to chanting and hearing and serving, remembering all the beautiful 9 processes of devotional service. So when we read these Leelas, we should be encouraged, because they're meant to encourage us. They're meant because we're doing the same thing. We have the same life that was lived by Raghunath Das. I'm chanting, hearing, taking prasadam, associating with devotees. Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur. Thank you very much for your kind attention in this regard. We still have about 10 minutes left. Does anyone have any comment or question?
Thank you so much, Sarvadrk bro. Wonderful instructions. Let's see if anyone has any. Yeah. Srinivas Prabhu, you have, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Prabhuji, you have given very nice class, and you have touched on various aspects of the any devotee, how he has to be. And especially I was interested the point that you mentioned on the renunciation. Renunciation is a very difficult thing to do in the material world that we are living in. So we are all, I mean, at least myself, I am a Gruhastha, and every day I want to pray Krishna, but some other issue will come, and okay, I will defer it. So the renunciation also has to be deferred in that case, because of, suppose you see that I see a good food at prasad or temple or anywhere, I like to eat it, but I only will postpone it, thinking that tomorrow I will renunciate. So this sort of life I am going in. So now, how we can really think of how we have to take this aspect of renunciation, because every day some issue will come in the life. We only think of postponing the things. And the examples you said with the person that Raghunath Das is amazing, because he has actually eaten the prasad of Jagannath Prabhuji, Lord Jagannath, and even it is present in gutter. I think he was eating it. That's what I remember you said it. So is it really possible for an ordinary person like us, who is living in this material world with some false prestige and all these things, Prabhuji?
Yes, actually, I should have made this more clear. An important point to understand is that we're not renunciants. Our process is positive. We are taking Krishna and all the different aspects of Krishna consciousness, and renunciation is a byproduct. Renunciation comes by our positive acceptance of those things favorable for Krishna consciousness. You understand the difference? Not that, okay, I'm going to renounce. Then you just become dry. Life becomes very dry. We accept the beautiful life of Krishna consciousness, and as a byproduct, as a result of our Krishna bhakti, we become detached from this world. Not detachment for detachment's sake.
Yes, Prabhuji, very nice. Thanks for this answer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a nice question.
Go ahead, Balram Thakur.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very nice lecture and very nice example of Raghunath Das Goswami. Prabhuji, when a person is saying that, I'm not talking about Raghunath Das Goswami, but a devotee, that they experience something spiritual, is that at a dream level or hallucination or the real experience? Is there a way to find out?
The test is if you become detached from this life. Otherwise, the tendency can be there for sahajiyism. That, I had a dream and Radharani came to me in my dream, but then you wake up and you want to go drink a beer? How is it possible? If it's a real experience, you become very detached from this world. And we can test in this way. Like we read about 6 Goswami. Chaktva Tornamashesha Mandalapati Shainim Sada Tutshavad. Bhutva Dina Ganeshako Karunaya Kopina Kantarshito. Gopi Bhava Rasamrita Bilahari Kalola Magno Muhur. Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. That they gave Chaktva Tornamashesha Mandalapati, they gave a big position in society. And what is the test that they're actually Gopi Bhava Rasamrita Bilahari, that they're floating in this ocean of Gopi Bhava, that they're completely detached from material life. Not that someone says Gopi Bhava Rasamrita, that I'm in Gopi Bhav, but they've got a girlfriend, they're smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, watching television, going to movies. You know, if someone's doing those things, okay, well and good, try and be better. But don't think that you're floating in Gopi Bhava if you have bad habits. The symptom of our spiritual life is detachment from material life. You understand the difference?
Yeah, this is perfect, Prabhu. Yeah, because there is a lot of people I have heard other people, they are saying that they are experiencing spiritual and they are in that Gopi Bhav as you're explaining. But that's what I wanted to say.
I'm in Gopi Bhava. Me and my girlfriend, we're in Gopi Bhava. It's all cheating. It's all first class sahaja, pakka sahaja.
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else, Prabhus, Matajis?
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam, all Gurus to
Dhanavad
Prabhupada,
Pranam.
except my humble obeisances.
Except mine, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhu, like you mentioned about the Raghunath Das Goswami, when he met with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, having everything, like if we see the nowadays, the perspective, he was rich, he has a nice family, everything he has, but still his attachment to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and leaving the family, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommending him, no, stay in the family still. So if you want to see the tourist scenario like the ISKCON devotee, even outsiders also say, oh, you guys just want to leave the family and go. They are thinking in that way. So how to understand nowadays, even like, so this is recommended to, like, if that kind of situation is there, to how to understand that? Because the outsiders thinking, oh, ISKCON joins means they will leave the family, this and that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also left the family. They start thinking in that way.
I can understand. We should refer to the instructions he received from Lord Chaitanya. First of all, no one can imitate Raghunath Das. We're not meant to follow exactly as Raghunath. Are you ready to live in a hut and eat washed out rice that the cows won't eat in Puri? No way. None of us can do that. No one can follow Raghunath Das in that way. But we should accept the instructions Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him. He said, live externally like a pounds, shillings, and pence man. But internally, you're with Krishna. Internally, you're with Krishna. Because we have a certain life that's destined for us. And you can't step outside of your own karma. If money is destined for you, money will come. If poverty is destined, poverty will come. We accept wealth and poverty both as mercy of the Lord. Whatever comes to us, we're happy. Therefore, Bhagavatam says, Tasyaiva heto prayate to kovido, nalabyate yad brahmatam uparyada, talabyate dukkha vananyata sukam kalena sarvadrk gabira ranghasa. And one should endeavor for that purposeful end, which is not available for wandering from the topmost planet, Satyalok, down to Patalok. What is that purposeful end? Krishna Bhakti. And as far as material happiness is concerned, that comes automatically, just as in due course of time, we get distress. Our happiness and distress, our wealth and poverty, our health and disease, all destined. So it's not that spiritual life or the ISKCON is promoting renunciation. We're promoting simple sattvic lifestyle, that's all. Live like a human being. Be happy in married life. Be faithful to your wife and husband. Be satisfied with your income. Live a comfortable life. And at the end, go back to Godhead. What is the difficulty? What is the difficulty? People simply like to criticize. This is the real problem. Because if someone becomes detached from this world and they do take to a life of sannyas, which is, I might say, out of the ordinary, most of our congregations and most of our devotees are happy grihastha people. And we point to that as an example of Krishna Bhakti. Happy married people, peaceful married people, satisfied married people that have a comfortable life, sufficient money, happy family life, happy relationship between husband and wife, obedient children. What more can you expect in this world? These are the real blessings of life. So we don't reject that. We show that as an example of Krishna consciousness. Our example is not sannyas and brahmacharya, because the masses of people have no interest in that. We should practice Krishna conscious internally and externally. Externally, live like an ordinary person. Internally, you're only with Krishna. That you accept the responsibilities of life, of working and maintaining family, as a service to Krishna. Everything is for Krishna. Manasa deho geho yokichumor arpilantua pade nande kishore. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that my mind, my body, my home, whatever little bit I call my own, I offer to you because it's yours. This is an internal adjustment. Internally, we're always with Krishna. Be always with Krishna. Externally, live like an ordinary person. And no one can criticize. We don't promote sannyas. We don't promote brahmacharya. You can't make someone a sannyasi. Make them a brahmachari. They have a propensity for that, proclivity for renunciation, or they don't. And people that don't will fall from brahmacharya and fall from sannyas. So be happy in your life. Does it matter? Ultimately, think about it. Does it matter whether we leave this world and go back to Godhead from grihastha ashram or from sannyas ashram, brahmacharya ashram? You're going back to Godhead. What more you want? What more is there? We want this thing. We're not interested in this ashram, that ashram, the other ashram. We're interested in pleasing Krishna and going back to Godhead. And this, the public should understand. And if they want to see an example of real Krishna consciousness, show them a happy family with obedient children, harmonious relationship between husband and wife, prosperity, peace of mind. The whole world wants what we have, and we can show them how to get it. So they have many misconceptions about Krishna consciousness. So in our interaction with them, we should be able to present our actual point of view. We're not renunciants. We're Krishna bhaktas. We simply want to please Krishna and be happy with what he provides for us. So these things we should present to the world. Does that make sense to you, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you for a nice question.
Thank you so much, Sarvadrk Prabhu. All glories to you.
Krishna
All glories to
Namananda. You have such a nice name, Krishna Namananda.
Prabhu.
So beautiful
Oh,
name.
hope I can make it true. So,
You
yeah.
will make it. We'll all make it, no doubt. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank
No other
you.
questions. Let's join here. We have quick announcements. Please join for Sunday Feast program on the Mother's Day Eve today, 5:30 to 9 p.m. today evening. Sunday program starting with Tulsi Arati, Prabhupada Arati. Monday is Ekadasi, Apara Ekadasi, fasting from grains and beans. Tuesday is real Vrindavan Thakur's appearance day, very, very important day. Vyasdev of Gaur Leela. And Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi coming up. Please plan. May 30th is Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi. And June first week onwards, we have Radha Yatras coming up. June 10th is New York Radha Yatra. And June 2nd is Lord Jagannath Snana Yatra. And Atlantic City is also, Radha Yatra is also coming up. Please plan accordingly and help in various services we have for these Radha Yatras. And we have bus from our temple to New York Radha Yatra. Please join on the bus if you want. You can register, pay for the bus, $35 per person or so. Please contact one of us if you would like to register for the bus. Okay, those are the quick announcements. Thank you all for joining. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Krishna ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Sarvadrk Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.